Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto our power, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, HaRachakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught us this truth and who also rule well. Peace and salutations to those of the hopeful elect. Just want to do a lesson entitled, "The Lord is Shutting All Doors for America." All right. The Lord is shutting all doors for America. All right. Because all you see, all right, when you look online, all right, you get videos suggested to you. All right. In every, facet of America, you have, people talking about how, the music industry is completely finished. All right. It's through, it's cooked. All right. Same thing with the sports entertainment industry. All right. Nobody's into it like that no more. All right. People are, discovering that it's actually rigged. And so you got the music industry. You got the sports industry. OK, you have Hollywood just shutting down as a whole. All right. And you have different companies that are shutting down. OK, you got Starbucks shutting down all kind of stores globally. All right. Pretty much all doors to America is being shut down. The video game industry. All right. A lot of people are complaining about video games in the video game industry, how everything is being brought low. All right. Which is according to prophecy, because, the Lord is taking, the ambition out of America. All right. Well, the Lord has stripped America of his ambition. OK, there's no forward progress for America because it's met its end. All right. And we're witnessing the downfall of this place. All right. And Esau, Edom, they understand that this place got to collapse for them to, move forward with their new world order. OK, they can't have, the old system in place. All right. So with us being at the end of America and, this society, all right, America's getting ready to collapse. All right. The Federal Reserve note is as weak as it's ever been. All right. It's inevitable that this place is going to collapse because the Lord is shutting all doors for America. All right. So let me get a quick precept. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 51. And I'm going to start at verse 8. It says Babylon, and this is speaking of, America. All right, this is code for America. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. And I want to see what that word balm. OK, it says a kind of balm, salve as medicine. OK, like if you, sprain your ankle, you can get balm, certain herbs and rub it on it. And it acts as a medicine, an anti-inflammatory, so with the intentions of healing the wound. OK, Jeremiah 51:8, Babylon is sudden fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain. All right. So the balm can also act as a numbing agent. OK. All right. It says, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. All right. So pretty much, what we're seeing, going back with Biden, how they was trying to put money into the economy. Now Trump is the president. All right. They're trying to build back. Well, what was it? Build back better. That's what Biden was saying. And now Trump is saying make America great again. All right. Two phrases to let you know that America isn't what it once used to be. OK. And they're trying to do these things to stimulate the economy, which, these people, American people, are living in pain. All right. They're struggling to meet ends. OK. They're not able to take vacations like they want to. All right. They're really feeling the crunch. OK. And, here it is, 2025. It's getting worse than it's ever been. It's to the point where, you go on YouTube and a lot of people are talking about the collapse of America, and they're not even in the truth. They're just regular people talking about these things. OK. And with the state of the whole entire earth. All right. Hey, it's apparent that we're at the end. OK. It says we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. All right. And that's pretty much what's taking place is you have a lot of these different foreigners that came out here for the American dream. And now, whatever assets and resources they have over here in America. All right. They're selling these things. OK, so that they can, get themselves ready to move back to their home country. OK, and you even have Americans that grew up in America. They're getting their passport. They're getting ready to, move to another country to live out there because America, this place is a piece of shit. OK, it's a piece of crap. All right. So you're seeing people leaving Babylon. All right. But it's going to come a point in time where they're going to shut down access from people leaving and entering into this place. It says, forsake her, let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. So pretty much is imminent destruction, is imminent doom. And a lot of these people are seeing it, are beginning to see. But see, the men of the Lord, the prophets have been preaching about these things, going all the way back, 30, 40 plus years, starting off, high priest Abba Bivens, going on down to, the apostles and elders and the bishops of Great Millstone all the way down. Been prophesying years about, America collapsing. All right. About the CHIP. All right. Which is the MOTB. All right. Speaking about World War III and how Russia is going to get involved. All right. And people laughed the men of the Lord to scorn. All right. But now prophecy is mainstream. OK, and these people are still not acknowledging that the prophet. And here it is. We're prophesying, as these things are taking place in real time. OK, the men of the Lord was prophesying before they happened. And now these things are beginning to happen. The Lord still has his men prophesying. All right. And these people are still oblivious, which it's OK. The Lord said that, the world is not going to understand, and who, repentance is for, the gospel, which is good news. It's for Israel. And we understand that 2/3 of Israel are not going to understand. OK, they're not going to take heed to the word. OK, they're going to hear what we're saying. All right. They hear what we're saying, but they can't perceive. OK, and therefore they're going to be caught off guard. All right. When the Lord really bring that judgment. OK. And here it is, the Lord is already bringing that judgment. You got, Esau, Edom coming down with that wrath. And this is just the beginning of it. Esau pulling up to different projects. All right. Bouncing out, and airing out the whole project. Everybody in their mama and they daughters, their sons, having them hemmed up. All right. Treating them like, like they just the worst ever. OK. And this is the judgment of Yahweh Shema Shai. This is the wrath of the Lord. OK. And 2/3 of our people are going to get caught up in the judgment. And that's including little children, little babies, the elderly. OK. Women. All right. This is the time that the Lord is going to judge Babylon. Let me get another precept. And that's the reason why all doors are being shut. That's the reason why, people are complaining, man, the music industry is not what it used to be. is completely cooked. There's no more Summer Jam hits. You know, they're not producing hits. All right. The video game industry. All right. It's stagnant. There's no progression. All right. Sports is through, is cooked. All right. All these things, the bread and circus that these people were into. All right. The Lord is shutting the doors on these things. And these people are forced to, sit down and they're forced to be face to face with reality. OK. And when they're face to face with reality, what they see is judgment. They're seeing America collapsing. They're seeing, people rising up. OK. And, hey, this is all according to, Yahweh Shema Shai's judgment upon this wicked kingdom. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 47. And I'm starting at 1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon." All right. And what is the virgin daughter of Babylon? The virgin daughter of Babylon is America. OK. It says, "Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldees," which the modern day Chaldeans are, the 1% bankers. OK. The small hats. All right. The elites. All right. It says, "For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate," because America, again, this place, was the beacon of hope, so to speak, for all these nations that come over here for the American dream. All right. You can leave, your war torn country, come over here to America and become a billionaire or even become the president. All right. So at one point, this place was called tender and delicate. OK, but now, oh, look how this place have fallen. All right. This place has fallen greatly in a short amount of time. All right. In a short amount of time, because the Lord is going to make a speedy riddance of Esau, Edom as a whole, and America, because America got to be made an example. All right. Just like the Lord made Sodom and Gomorrah and those surrounding cities an example. OK. The Lord is going to make Babylon the Great an example. All right. It says, let me see. I'm gonna read that again. Isaiah 47:1. "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon." All right. And the dust represents confusion. All right. So that's what's coming to this place. It's nothing but confusion. And, the elites, they're going to forward this thing. All right. Because their whole MO is order out of chaos. All right. And what is chaos? Confusion. All right. The dust. So Yahweh Shema Shai is going to allow Esau, all right, to shut down Babylon. Esau is going to come down with that wrath. All right. And it's going to be controlled opposition. Hey. Salakia. It says, it says, "Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy lock, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen." And America's shame is being seen on a global scale. All right. All the shame that's going on, everything that's going on in Babylon is being aired out via the internet. Okay. The unicorn. All right. Yahweh Shema Shai, established, the internet and YouTube for this truth to go out. All right. And also the internet is also having a hand, in exposing Esau. OK, exposing Esau. And then by way of the men of the Lord, exposing Esau on YouTube. So the exposure is out there. All right. Seeing, how Esau, Edom get down over here, the pride. OK. The way that Babylons live is an offense, not only to the Most High Yahweh and his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. All right. But people around the world, that are more in an Eastern mindset. All right. America is a great offense. OK. And these people hate Babylon. All right. And that's why these nations, they're going to come together. All right. And the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai is going to make them shoot those missiles over here. OK. Verse 4 says, verse 3 says, "Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. And that's speaking of Yahweh Shai. Okay, this is the Old Testament too. Okay, but that right there is speaking of Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is going to come back, in that angelic body. All right, to bring judgment, man. Okay, to bring swift judgment to this world and to deliver the elect of Israel. Okay, because the elect are the only ones that are going to get mercy from Yahweh Shemao Shai, that are going to make it, out of this great tribulation, okay, that we're in, which is Jacob's trouble. All right, the elect are the only ones going to survive and get beamed up into a chariot to escape the nuclear destruction from World War III. All right, but as for Esau, Edom, and the rest of these nations, all right, I'll read it again. It says, I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. So the Lord's going to take vengeance, man. All right. And the Lord's coming back with that angelic power. That's why they have, the Space Force out there. They call themselves, fighting against the Heavenly Father, fighting against the angels. All right. Esau, he's completely out of his mind. He's completely bugged out. Yet, since the Lord has given him a little bit of power, they can put together, these machines and, set them out there in outer space, these weapons. All right. Esau, he called himself waging war with the Heavenly Father. All right. But Esau going to lose, man. Lose. All right. Verse 4, it says, as for our Redeemer, and who's our Redeemer? That's Yahweh Shai. He's going to redeem the nation of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name. The Holy One of Israel, that's Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is in the Old Testament, man. He was prophesied. Okay. I'll continue to read. It says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldees. All right. So get thee into darkness. All right. Going into that confusion, man. Because when America collapsed, everybody's going to be confused. Everybody's going to be lost. Everybody's going to lose their mind. They're going to be hyperventilating. All right, people's going to be having heart attacks. People's going to, go feral. All right, people's going to be committing suicide. People's going to be raging. People's going to be crashing out. All right, while the men of the Lord, all right, the ones that Yahweh Shemao Shai is going to deliver in their households, all right, the men of the Lord are going to be stable. All right, they're going to have a stable mind. All right, and, Lord's will, we part of that number. We're going to know exactly what's going on. All right. But as for these people, they going to be in that darkness, like that movie Leave the World Behind. All pretty much, the collapse happened during that movie and nobody knew what was going on. It was all kind of suspense. People was driving around. They was trying to figure out what was going on. All right. And all of a sudden, military troops, and pretty much that was it. There was no internet. No hopping on the phone. People was running out of gas. Vehicles wasn't on the roads. All right. That's utter darkness. That's complete darkness. Let's say, you have, a family member, I'm going to go up to the next city like an hour away. Then all hell break loose. All right. Good luck trying to meet up with somebody again. The phone's going to be off. All right. You ain't going to be able to contact. You're not going to have, proper transportation. And then by the time you get back to your home, all right, your family probably up and left. All right. So there's going to be, the Lord's going to bring great darkness upon America, man. All right. And only through divine intervention in the spirit of Yahweh Shemao Shai are the elect going to make it. OK, so I'll continue to read. It says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. Yeah, because America was the number one. OK, at one point. And now America ain't shit. All right. And why is that? Because the influence of America, people, they've drunken of that wine and now they're mad. All right. Mad as in insane, and also mad as in they're angry because now they're like, why do we put off our customs, the following behind, this degeneracy? OK, And now, over in, some parts of the Middle East, you got women, trying to take on that Queen of Heaven spirit. They're trying to push for, quote unquote, more women rights. All right. That's strictly from the West. All right. So, this place is, we're seeing the end. Okay. Let me see. I think I got another precept real quick. I don't want to make this too long. Yeah, let me get Ecclesiastes 12:4. Well, I can actually start at 1. This is Ecclesiastes 12 verse 1. It says, "Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not." Yeah, now is the time to, if you're an Israelite, a so-called Black, Latino, Native, Seminole Indians, all right, now is the time, to remember your creator, all right, to seek the truth, okay? Diligently seek the truth because, the Lord will guide you to the truth. If you're sincere, you want to understand, you want to understand the Most High, all right? Hey, the Lord, he'll guide you. In Lord's will, he'll guide you to, a man of the Lord, to a prophet, which here, us at Great Millstone, we say we have 100% truth. We believe, through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shema Shah, that we are the prophets. Okay. So the Lord will guide you to this understanding. Okay. And you'll get all your answers. Okay. A lot of times Jake be having answers and questions about life. Okay, well, Yahweh, when you come into the truth, the scriptures say, the truth will make you free. Roughly paraphrasing. Why? Because the Lord, we have all the answers. We know the end all be all. All right, we know what's going to happen to America. We've been prophesying it, and the Lord is bringing it to pass. Okay, which just confirmed everything that we've been prophesying. All right, and we know the end of this thing. We know what's going to come after Babylon. We know what's going to come after this world. Okay, we know what Esau, Edom is going to try to do. All right, we know what's entailed for, the elect. The elect is the ones that's going to be delivered out of this great tribulation. So all the answers that we have are going to be fulfilled, or is answered. All right. Why are we here in America? Why are we catching hell? All right. Because we sinned against Yahweh Shema Shai, because we're the Israelites and the Lord jacked us up. Okay. See, we have all the answers, and now we ain't got to search no more. Hey, now we just got to abide in Yahweh Shema Shai. So Ecclesiastes 12:1, it says, "Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not." So now is the time to seek this truth. All right, to get into this word. Really, get the true understanding of the scriptures. You can't be playing Hebrew hopscotch. Oh, I'm going to listen to this group and then listen to that group and then listen to this group and then take a little bit out of all of them. No, you can't do that, man. Why? Because that's confusion. All right. Here it is. You got one group that say they believe in this, and then another group that say they believe in that. All right. That's two different. That's contrary. All right. You got to stick with one and learn. Okay. And you got, a lot of false prophets out there. Okay. Well, guess what? If there's members of the elect in these different groups, eventually, they're going to wake up to it, and the Lord's going to guide them and bring them to Great Millstone. All right. Which Great Millstone is just a title. All right. But the Lord's going to, bring them to the men of the Lord, which is chiefly of Great Millstone, and those that are in the like-minded spirit and understanding. So I'll continue to read. It says, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Yeah, because during that time, that's not going to be the time to be studious. It's not going to be the time to really sit down, and really meditate, to really, get this word in you. That's not going to be that time. All right, it's going to be a whole nother time, a whole nother atmosphere, if you will, whole nother spirit. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened or the clouds return after the rain. And that's symbolic for, the Lord, removing this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from being readily accessible. Verse 3 says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and we're in those days now. All right. When you go into the word economy, all right, it goes back to household. OK, so you can replace that word where it says keepers of the house. You can place house with economy. So it says, in the day when the keepers of the economy shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Yeah, and that's another thing that's been going on is the retail apocalypse. That's still in full effect and even has gotten worse. It's just that the news don't harping on it no more. All right. That's the last thing, the rulers that be, that's the last thing they want, the people to do is to panic. All right. So they're not going to tell you that we're knee deep in World War III. They're not going to tell you that it's inevitable that the economy is going to collapse. They're not going to tell you these things. They're just going to let it happen and pretty much try to coerce you and quell you into, their new system that they got prepared for when it do collapse. All right. And the main thing they're going to try to coerce you to do is to get a C-hip. All right. In your forehead or in your right hand or your left hand or anywhere in your body. All right. Which is the MOTB. All right. But the elect is not going to receive that tag. OK. So I'll continue to read. It says, verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. OK. And that's going to be literally. All right. Now, the title is all doors shall be shut for America. All right. Or let me read it. The Lord is shutting all doors for America. All right. And that's going to be literal, too. All right. Because you go into these big cities. Chiefly, I'm talking about San Francisco. You got all kind of stores that are just vacant, boarded up. All right. And when you read when the grinders cease because they are few. All right. That's these different jobs. All right. A lot of people are complaining that, hey, they can't find a job. All right. A lot of people can't even get hired to a fast food restaurant. All right. A lot of government jobs are being cut. OK. So this is all entails that, America's cooked. It's only a matter of time before, the collapse just happened. Whether it be, a major event and, the economy can't take it anymore and it just gives. All right. Because America can't take another event that happened in 2020. If that happened again, something along the lines of that happening again. All right. America's economy won't be able to withstand that. And it's going to be inevitable collapse. And we understand that once this place collapses, there's no going back. It's never going back to normal. So I'll continue to read. I'll close it out. It says, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. OK, so, yeah, that's the reason why, the spirit of Babylon is being sucked dry. All right. Music sucks, if you even want to call it music. All right. And that's just letting where this society is at. Because, at every point in time in history. All right. You've always had music. OK, and you had like music in the 50s, 60s, the 70s, the 80s. It kind of gives you the vibe of the time period. All right. But here in Babylon, it's the worst it's ever been. It's the most degenerate. All right. Which goes into decadence, moral decay. and which is a major sign of a collapsing society, man. All right. So, hey, man, we're in that time, and Esau, Edom, they know this place going to collapse as well as the prophets do. So that's the reason why they're getting ready to come down. And Esau's the devil, so they going to come after, you Israelites. Okay, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Seminole Indians, because in Esau's New World Order, all right, they don't need Jake, man. They got AI, all right? They don't need Jake anymore. So, we in that time, man. All right, so Lord's will, this lesson was edifying. I want to say, call all Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone who taught us his truth and who also rule well. Peace and salutation to those that are hopeful elect. Shalom and a ball.